We have many new signals that show Tesla is truly about to launch unsupervised full self-driving, and more details on how Tesla will launch in Europe and other countries. First, Tesla's software code shows there is a geofence region called Bay Unsupervised California DMV. This area encompasses the entire Bay Area. Other small regions near Tesla's engineering headquarters in Palo Alto also are included. This is a great sign showing Tesla is now testing unsupervised self-driving and may be in the process of obtaining approval from the DMV. Second, Tesla was spotted for the first time doing robotaxi validation testing in Boston, Massachusetts. Third, Tesla's making a big push to get approval to launch FSD in Europe. Tesla AI engineer Yun Tasai revealed he spent the entire weekend and staying up late to submit documents for approval. Elon Musk agreed, saying that Europe is strangling itself with regulation. Tesla Europe announced that they are on the path to get approval in the Netherlands by February, but they're asking Tesla owners to contact the authorities to show your support. Fourth, despite Europe, Tesla continues to expand around the world, with now officially launching full self-driving supervised in South Korea. We got Jeff Lutz here with us today. He's a multi-decade supply chain executive and chief quality officer. He's now CEO of his own high-tech manufacturing consulting firm. Welcome, Jeff.
They're ramping.
And so the question is, do you think that they will actually launch unsupervised full self-driving? So this is the news. It's not really news. Greeny Only was digging in through the software code Tesla has, and he found this, a curiously named geofence region. It's called Bay Unsupervised California DMV. Seems to encompass the entire San Francisco Bay Area. So which is where I think they're already offering Tesla's supervised FSD with a person in the driver's seat. But unsupervised, I think, means that you and I, if you are an owner, just have your own Tesla, they'll let you drive. This is the hidden code and multiple geofence regions, not just that big one, but also smaller ones. These are like around Palo Alto, around San Francisco. This is the one we just showed you. And then there's this one around Palo Alto, and then this one around San Francisco. So they're probably testing it themselves at this point, or that they actually need to get approval from the DMV. What's your confidence level here, Jeff?
Well, each of these states have their own requirements that need to be met. But it would make a lot of sense to launch in the Bay Area in Austin. To be honest, this is where they started, and there's other autonomous vehicles running unsupervised there. So the public is used to seeing these cars go down the road with no driver in them. The local police, everything is kind of accustomed to dealing with these things, although it's still new. So the stuff we're seeing in code, it makes sense. It makes sense based on the progress we're seeing in FSD. And I always thought that Tesla would basically, they have parameters inside of the vehicle for monitoring, and it's a good thing. If you're by a Tesla anywhere on the road, you know that driver is paying attention, especially if it's engaged in FSD, because that otherwise it won't allow it to drive. There's probably more attention. There's probably more non-distracted driving in a Tesla than maybe any other vehicle, just with all the monitoring that they're doing. I always thought that what they would basically do is just pull back on it, like via gradient. And I think that's what they're going to do. I don't think they have to make massive, huge announcements. I would kind of keep unsupervised focus on the robotaxi fleet, and that's where I think it'll garner a lot of attention. I think for normal users of the car, just continuing, make the software better, make the system better, which is what they're doing, and pull back on the monitoring gradually, but have it there.
Yeah, that seems to be what they're doing now with 14.2, but it looks like that's good news for us who doubted whether or not Elon said that by the end of this year, there would be some sort of unsupervised. We're not talking robotaxi. We're talking about, people driving Teslas being able to say, hey, you can go ahead and text while you're driving, maybe in those areas. In 14.2, what they've discovered now with 14.2 is that the cell phone detection is massively relaxed already. So as Elon said before, they're going to slowly just reduce the relaxation requirement.
Guys, this is no joke. We can actually hold our cell phones on 14.2 now. I'm sitting here holding my cell phone as one would if I was going to scroll Twitter or if I was going to bang out a text message.
Twitter.
And what's interesting is as long as both hands are not holding the cell phone. In other words, like, as long as I'm not actually texting, I don't get the nag. So right now I have both hands on my cell phone. Let's see what happens. So I'm acting like I'm texting. Still banging out this text. Okay, I literally have my thumbs over the screen. I'm holding it just as one would if one was texting. And look at that. No nags, nothing. I mean, I don't know if this is a bug or a feature. I'm hoping that they've relaxed the cell phone nags in this build. This seems to be very incredible. I mean, we're coming up on a minute into this video, and now I'm getting ready to go over a bridge.
So the paradox has always been there, Herbert, of the car's safer with the computer on and active. And what you had people doing is deactivating it so they could text. They could bang a text out.
Right.
So this is safer driving to allow this.
Yeah. So this is a signal. They're already removing the nags, letting you do this. Boy, this is going to be interesting. I think that's the way they're going to roll it out. You still need to be sitting in driver's seat. They'll call it unsupervised, but only for periods, only for certain geographies. And then, they'll reduce the nags. We'll see how they roll that out.
Just ease into it. Make it a gradient. Don't make it this cliff. But there will be points along this gradient where it's super meaningful for people. And texting and driving is one of those.
That's one of them already. That's great. Even if they left it just like that, I think it's huge. So we've got unsupervised FSD maybe coming. You've got robo-taxi, and people are still waiting for the removal of the safety monitor on the right side of the car in Austin. But look at this. This is having more and more. We keep reporting on this. But now we've got another analyst, Melius, saying Tesla stock is a must-own as world nears dramatic shift. Okay. Autonomous driving lead is approaching an irreversible tipping point that could trigger one of the biggest value shifts in modern industrial history. So Rob Wertheimer said the firm recently called Tesla a must-own because the world is about to change dramatically, two ways gradually, then suddenly. Wrote that same dynamic now applies to autonomy, right? Things can be gradually and then suddenly. Our point is not that Tesla is at risk, it's that everyone else is. He's arguing that autonomy is nearing the moment when years of incremental progress suddenly give way to mass adoption, transforming what Wertheimer calls a $7 trillion sector. He adds that the next 5 years will see hundreds of billions in value shift to Tesla. Public awareness remains low. Not even 1 out of 100 Americans have ridden in a self-driving car. Only tens of thousands have tried Tesla's latest supervised FSD system. When widespread rollout arrives, it will still shock most people. The catalyst is the accelerating improvement in full self-driving software, now at 14.1.7. Imagine when he gets 14.2 and 14.3. So, Tesla's lead is widening, not shrinking. And then, of course, chips, vertical software, all these decisions that are even happening now. This is the worst it's going to be. It's only going to get better and better and better. And eventually it is already superhuman now, but it'll be like really superhuman, right?
That point of not a lot of people being aware, that's not only a consumer thing, that's an investor thing.
Right.
And that's what creates alpha. People think like, oh, Tesla is doing this thing, but doesn't work really well, and take a Waymo because, that's what all the articles are saying. They've got a lot of sensors and it's fine. And Waymo's doing great. It just, the lack of awareness is alpha. And I think that's what people should just understand that is. And now that's just the first layer of it. The first layer of it is, oh my God, these Teslas that are out there, millions of them they're going to drive themselves. And they already are for people that buy this thing. But then all of a sudden, you're going to start peeling back the layers. And all of a sudden, like, okay, what does that other robo-taxi service do? Well, their cars cost, a bit more. And they keep peeling the layers back. And all of a sudden, they keep peeling the layers back. Like, wow. So Tesla doesn't have to buy their chips from NVIDIA like everybody else does. And they're vertically integrated. Their cost structure is this. They have all these cars already deployed in every economic zone in the world. It's not like they have to go through a tariff or have to set up a factory and all these. They already have the factories. They're already building autonomous vehicles. A light is bound to go on. The light is arguably on with a 40 plus PE. The light is already at least being triggered but I don't think I think there's still tremendous alpha in terms of Tesla's AI versus maybe the rest of Mag 7's AI. You know what I mean? There's this expectation that they're going to do these things. And then these companies they already have tremendous other cloud businesses putting up awesome, amazing revenues. But Tesla, the source of Tesla's revenue is bending metal and hardware, and they're shifting those sources of revenue from, what today are cars and energy. They're still going to ship cars and energy and a lot more energy. But now all of a sudden, these massive sources of revenue are going to come from software and AI, and that is going to be unexpected. That may be the alpha.
Yeah, so it's already built in somewhat because the P is high, you said, but there's still a lot that is unexpected, like that moment when actually they solved it. What? Yeah. And then what does that mean? Because like you said, they already got the factories there. They've already got FSD being used in many countries. I mean, we lost count of how many countries are using FSD at this point. And so, okay, this is big. We're starting to see even more robotaxi validation testing. First time they spotted a Tesla with the validation testing in Boston. So whenever you see that, that's usually the last kind of step, like one of the last steps. So it's interesting because Boston wasn't one that I would have guessed that they would have prepared, but because it's a cold weather city. So I'm not expecting they're going to launch it here anytime soon. But,
well, I mean,
they're working on
it. I mean, it's certainly going to give suspension a workout on the cars. If you've ever driven in downtown Boston, you'll know what I mean. And the pothole detection is going to be great, especially in that, in that area. But there's no reason why that they can't be doing this. I think they're just operationally limited. It's not the software anymore. It's this whole balance the entire time that Elon and the team are, when do we just unleash it? And you have people like Tesla Yoda does a great job on X going through each of these requisitions. The requisitions as being a hiring executive in the past in corporations, what Tesla is doing with their requisitions, they are just unleashing. And if you're an analyst and you're not looking at what they're doing from a requisition perspective, other companies are hiring, sure, that's fine. But look at the kind of hiring they're doing. Look at the kind of resources they're bringing in. They are just, they are very confident in what they're doing. And if you couple that with Elon's history of being very frugal with capital, very frugal with resourcing, and then you juxtapose it right with the amount of requisitions that are posted, Tesla is clearly gearing up.
Yeah, and the speed, that's what you keep talking about because, Waymo's been testing their cars here in Seattle for a decade. So you got to you got to get their own tests, but eventually you got to launch. And so we'll see what happens here. There's a long post from this Mike P. Elon said he's 100% sure they've solved FSD. And it's funny because, at this point, a lot of people don't listen to him when he says this because many are so conditioned to hearing it's almost ready without it ending up happening. But if you're one of the few sitting in these cars now testing 14, you have that, holy crap, my team is about to win the Super Bowl excitement inside of you. 14.1 has comfort issues, but you're sitting there realizing every single drive, you don't need to do anything ever. 14.2 has addressed all of these things. 13 was flawless almost always, but with the launch of 14, it has just become so crystal clear. Software is safer than the average. So crystal clear that your overall probability of collision is lower when it's active. Already felt that way in 13, but a smooth 14, this will be mainstream. It's undeniable after you got a few thousand miles under your belt. I can't believe they did it. This is the most insane crap ever. I've never seen such a mind-blowing, life-changing, world-changing tech so close to completion before the majority of the public even has a clue it exists at all. So, yeah. It's the general feeling,
This is, I've always said, I wish Tesla would, in production and delivery reports, they talk about how many cars they build. They talk about how many cars they deliver. I wish they would just measure awareness of FSD and of self-driving. And have you been in or have you been behind the wheel, or have you been in a Tesla vehicle doing this? And I think if they can take that metric, baseline it, and drive the awareness higher, the sales of cars and the sales of software will coincide with it. And I think that's the challenge.
Mm-hmm.
And
that makes sense.
I think I've been early on this in terms of, I think I've been pushing them a bit too hard on, but I've never said like, you must advertise, you must do TV commercials, you must do Super Bowl. But it's because I don't know what the right, I don't anymore with social media. I don't know what the right way to drive awareness is. All I know is awareness should be measured. It should be baselined. It should be measured by region. It should be measured by age. It should be measured by all kinds of demographic. They have to figure out who's buying cars, who's buying robots, and they have to figure out how to get this to people. But at the same time, there's fairly broad awareness of ride sharing, and that's something I think they're just going to enter in and do very well in. But I'm just talking about, they're going to continue to have a business where you can buy cars or lease cars or rent them from Tesla. Measuring awareness, I think, is very important for them to drive that higher. Again, in the rental business, where else can you go where for basically the same price, a very competitive price of other places, you get free fuel, the car drives itself, and it's the safest vehicle that you can actually rent on the road, or of the safe or equivalent safety or greater than anything else you can rent. Where else do you get that? There's no other example of it. So I think that's right. That other quote, that analyst Herbert, of it's not, it's the extinction of everybody else is the bigger risk. But yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. I love what you're saying. They're trying everything, but they need to measure which works. But that rental program, $60 a month, somebody pointed out and said, that's the cost of gas if you're driving 250. So it's really free. But let's say it isn't. And let's just go ahead and do that. They should do something that says, if you use FSD for a certain amount of time of your ride, we'll even cut that $60 to $40, whatever, reduce it. Because once people test FSD, they'll buy the car. That's just basically it. They'll go, oh my God, I get it now. And the reason why Tesla wants them to do that is because it's actually safer to use FSD at this point. Okay, so the biggest challenge Tesla seems to be talking about a lot is Europe, being able to get approval in Europe. There does seem to be signs that there's Netherlands will approve it in February, but you're seeing more and more Tesla executives coming out asking the viewers here to basically write a petition, go and write to the authorities in Europe to try to get them to do it, because the safety is what's critical, and it's regulations that's causing concern, are slowing everything down. This guy was asking, how fast will the rest of Europe get FSD after the Netherlands? Jan Tassai is a Tesla AI engineer. He said the bottleneck is on the regulators, and they need your voice heard. Andre Thierig, I think he's the plant manager for Giga Berlin. Is that right? Yeah. He said, I have driven several hundred miles with FSD over the last few days while visiting U.S. Tesla factories, because he's based in Berlin, right? Doesn't have FSD. The maturity of the system is amazing. Not one single interruption, safe, intuitive, fun, in any weather, on any road. Time for regulators in Europe to approve it. This guy said, this one hurts, because Jan Tassai made a post saying he spent the entire weekend until midnight. He's writing these regulatory documents for Europe. His face at the end said it all. He's basically wit's end. They're literally killing themselves behind the scenes to get FSD to us in Europe. Elon said, yes, it's insane. Europe is strangling itself with regulation. Tesla Europe themselves wrote this whole post talking about how they are partnering with the Dutch approval authority to gain exemption for the feature. They're filing an exemption. And then they said that, here, currently, the RDW has committed to granting Netherlands national approval in February 2026. Please contact them via the link below to express your excitement and thank them for making this happen as soon as possible. So that's the good news coming from Tesla themselves. What's your thoughts about FSD in Europe, Jeff?
Yeah, I'm not sure of all the prognostications, if they're going to be true or not. Yeah. First off, I hope Tesla AI engineers are leaning on maybe asking their boss Elon to have XAI help and Grok help in writing some of these regulations, and proofing them, by the way, too. But either this does take engineering effort. There's no question about it, and I don't want to make a joke of it. But I think the writing campaigns and the public interest may. I think it helps in the U.S. It may help in Europe. It won't help in China. That's not how they operate. So I would just keep all of that in mind. The Europeans that travel to the U.S. and try FSD are blown away. The people, especially in the Tesla communities and groups that travel here, it's going to make such a huge difference. I think it's just getting over the goal line. Remember, this is a huge chunk of technology. This is a big thing, the regulation of how cars move and travel for regulators. So if anything, like there's going to be this hurdle. They've just got to power through it. And hopefully they will soon. I think it would be strange for Europe to want to fall that far behind the US in something like this and that far behind China. And then to not have their own, they have organic efforts actually in Europe. They have Wave, they have other things happening. So maybe one of the other things that could help in Europe is if one of their organic entrants is helping push it and drive it, just like Waymo helped a lot in the US. So I think those are the different avenues. I do think it will be a country like the Netherlands or like, maybe Norway. It'll be a country like that, but they've got to figure out weather and they've got to figure out all these other different things to navigate through. But so I think it's imminent. Really, Tesla just has to continue to be focused on the performance of the system. But I can sympathize with Yuntasai. Anytime we had any major changes in smartphone standards, there's a lot of regulatory work that had to occur on the OEM side.
Yeah, PTSD, Jeff. Writing regulatory documents to get approval for whatever. Yeah. It's the product approvals, the factory approvals. Europe is, if you think we have a lot of regulations here, it's kind of on a different level. And, there's not that body there that right now that's trying to, in the US, you have a push on trying to reduce regulation. In China, you have a push on speed. Like they really push for speed in China. Of course, they want safety too. In Europe, I don't know if you have that same kind of push, and that's I feel for our friends in Europe. Yeah. So as we just mentioned earlier, the Dutch Approval Authority, RDW, is expected to grant national approval for FSD launch in the Netherlands, February 2026. Upon approval, other EU countries can recognize the exemption, paving the way for an EU-wide rollout. So once one does it, other can say yes. Yeah. But I think, like you said, we've been waiting for this for so long. So let's cross our fingers. And Tesla officially started distributing FSD Supervised in South Korea. So that's great. As Model S, X, Hardware 4 vehicles, they've started receiving FSD version 14 already.
It'll do great there.
Yeah, it'll do great. Why do you say that? What's the reason?
I've spent a lot of time in South Korea, and the roads are very clearly marked. They're very well paved. They're very well managed, and it is probably most similar to what's done in North America for driving in Asia, in my experience. Now, you will get unbelievable traffic in Seoul, but in terms of the rules, the structure, the roads, and the markings, I think it's going to do very well there.
Yeah. Actually, the traffic is actually easier for FSD to manage, and it's much better. It's like the great experience for the driver to just relax during the traffic, and it's safe because you're not driving so fast. Okay, the other one is Tesla's hiring vehicle operators in Thailand and a 6-month gig. We've seen this already. Last week, we reported a few of these. So the question is, why is Tesla hiring vehicle operators for just 6 months? And the answer most people are giving is that, well, because in 6 months, they'll get FSD approved and it'll be moving. They'll be on their way already. They can change their job at that point.
I forgot about in Korea, Herbert, and maybe a lot of people don't know this. I'm sure the Korean following watching will. One of the big the big use cases for FSD is going to be post karaoke, and you're
Yes.
you're leaving the bar.
No. You're right. Yes.
Listen, here's what happens.
Yeah.
Responsible companies, especially in business and with friends,
Yes.
what they'll do is they will send a driver to your car, and you give the driver your keys to your car, and they'll have another driver follow you. The driver will drive your car, and they'll have another driver follow it or come by later and pick that driver up. But the driver will drive your car to your home with you in it and get you safely home. And so, and this is I would say a fairly well exercised use case with increasing with significant volume in Korea. So FSD, I think, will be a very good thing for this.
A very good point. I'm very aware of what you're talking about, and I've always wondered, why aren't we doing something like that? Because drunk driving is a real issue, and so they're saying, you just call a driver, and the driver will come to you, drive your car home. It's fantastic.
Yeah.
Now with this, maybe there'll be a lot less. We'll see what happens, but it's much better. Thank you, Jeff. Follow him on his X account at the Jeff Lutz. Subscribe to him. Thanks, everybody. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
I've created a website that is the most comprehensive resource for the Tesla investor. Please check it out. Simply go to my website at herbertong.com.